What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock and what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for tomorrow for Tesla based off what the charts are showing and based off what the data is suggesting. I'm also going to break down what's going on with the options chain for SPY, what's going on with the overall market, the macroeconomic factors that will affect it, and also what's going on with the full self-driving beta and Elon Musk, as we have some very big updates to talk about. Now, before I break anything down and prepare you guys for this week and for tomorrow for Tesla and give you guys my price prediction, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Don't take any of this as financial advice whatsoever. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. And not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last things, if you guys can, please check out the Webull link down below and in the description. If you sign up for Webull, the link down below, and deposit any amount of money into the account, you're guaranteed up to 12 free stocks, each worth up to $2,000. And the best part is any could be a free Tesla share, a free Apple share, or a mix of all of them. It's a limited time offer. The offer ends tomorrow, so check it out before they run out. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. Looking at Tesla, this thing was up about 2.75% for the day on Friday. We had a pretty decent day. And although Tesla is pushing up and it still looks more bullish than bearish, respecting an uptrend, it was not showing as much strength as the overall market. Because remember, Tesla does have a tendency of having a beta above 2.0, which means that when the NASDAQ is up about 1%, Tesla tends to be up over 2%. And that's not what ended up happening. The NASDAQ was actually up about, and we can actually use the QQQ for this. If you look at it, this thing was up about 1.84%. So Tesla should have been up well over 4% on Friday. Instead, this thing was up about 2.75%, which isn't bad, but it's just not as strong as it could have been. And remember, this is happening because of uncertainty. We don't know if Elon Musk is done selling those Tesla shares. We don't know if he actually even sold some shares as well, right? And that's the reason why there is some risk involved when investing in Tesla, at least right now, or trying to trade it. However, that doesn't change the fact that if we just look at the other factors out there, it still looks more bullish than bearish for the markets, and this should help Tesla pump up a lot more, especially after it was being very oversold just a couple of days ago. So I am still more bullish on Tesla. I believe Tesla's going to keep pushing up, but the only thing that makes this a little bit less strong, a little bit kind of shaky would be the Elon Musk selling situation, the act of him selling, the reaction, the articles can have a negative effect. And that's why it's very important to watch them. However, once the news comes out, if it truly does come out that Musk is done selling, this thing, in my opinion, is going to soar. I mentioned that before. I still believe that. So please be ready. When it comes to Tesla's overall performance, Tesla compared to the QQQ is right here. Very similar correlation, but you could notice that the QQQ has been spiking up. Tesla's been lagging behind just a little bit on that end, but I do believe that it has potential to start catching up a bit if we get enough buying pressure. Because when you look at the price price ratio, this is starting to bounce a bit. When this tends to bounce up, this tends to actually move in a strong manner like this. So just remember, if it wasn't for Musk selling, Tesla would have soared to the moon much faster. It still can go to the moon, but it's going to be a lot slower than anticipated. And also, guys, there are other things you have to remember about SPY. I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. But for Tesla, we are historically green about 53% of the time on Mondays. That's another good sign out there that Tesla should be green for tomorrow, especially because Friday was a green day. And remember, Fridays tend to be the days that lots of people secure profits, institutions too, traders, investors, retail. They tend to secure profits. They tend to not trade as much during holidays, national bank holidays like Veterans Day. And yet, the market didn't care. We saw lots of buying pressure. We were very strong. The bulls were in control. So I do believe this is going to help Tesla overall. On top of that, the short interest, it did actually peak up just a bit, but I do anticipate it's going to come down a bit as Tesla starts pumping to the upside. So some shorts may even start to cover, but it will be more extreme if some confirmation comes about Elon Musk. And that's why it's still very important to note Musk is still a big factor despite everything. Now, when it comes to SPY, there's something good that's going on right now. If you noticed, I mentioned previously that the put to call ratio was very high. This meant that retail institutions, market makers, if you want to count them too, they were actually buying into the puts, right? And that's the reason why the market ended up not actually crashing, because everyone, or the majority of investors, were expecting the market to crash. The opposite tends to happen when one side is over leveraged. So what happened is, I noticed just recently, just like yesterday, these numbers are starting to go down. And this is maybe just barely updating, but this is a good sign because what's happening is the institutions, the market makers, they are getting ready to actually hedge because institutions are closing those puts. People are not going as heavy into the put sides. And when the people that had the puts open, they're closing them, which is leading them to hedge by buying more shares. This is leading to more buying pressure. So the buying pressure on SPY is actually coming to Tesla and things like that after the whole CPI news. And the thing about that is, just to give you guys my 2 cents on it, I'm not 100% convinced that CPI is going to continue to just like crash from here. It's going to start coming down consistently. We still need more data to actually come to that conclusion. Because remember, the last CPI report was actually higher than expected. And the latest one that came out, I'm sorry, the one that came, the second to last one, right? That one was higher than expected. The latest one was actually a little bit lower, but we need more CPIs in a row to actually confirm that the downtrend is still actually there, right? A very strong downtrend, which would affects the Fed's pivot and things like that. I don't see the Fed pivoting anytime soon. I do believe they could be getting ready to do it though sooner than anticipated if inflation does start coming down very hard. We just need more data to come to that conclusion because when you look at like 2008 to or like 2000, there were many instances where inflation goes up and then down and up and down, and it's not as consistent as people think. It doesn't just like go up and come crashing down. That's not what tends to happen historically. If you look at like 2008, it came up, it came down, pushed up again, and then it started to come down as well. So it's important to note that, guys. It's very important to know we need more data to actually confirm it, which is why I wouldn't necessarily count on the CPI just coming all the way back down to 2% very quickly, right? Be very careful. For the week, we have some big dates ahead of us. We have the PPI report coming out on Tuesday. I don't think this is going to be bad. In fact, because CPI was relatively good, I think this is going to be a pretty decent report as well. Should be pretty okay for the markets, but much of this is priced in, so it shouldn't be as extreme or lead to as extreme of a reaction. It is still important to note this. But what else is very big would be the Fed. We have many big Fed speakers coming out on, I think some are coming on Wednesday, but they're going to be more on Thursday, especially Larkin, who's notorious for being more hawkish. I believe that the Fed does not like this rally, guys. That's just my honest opinion. And I believe that they're going to start talking and being more hawkish relatively soon just to bring the market down a little bit later during the week. Now, do I think it's going to cause us to crash? No, I'm not saying that's going to happen that quickly, but I do believe it could slow us down a bit going into like maybe parts of Wednesday, but more towards like Thursday and Friday. So be very careful near the end of this week. However, before Thursday and Friday comes Monday and Tuesday, and I am still way more bullish for those days. I think we have lots of room to continue pumping. The last thing I want to talk about Tesla would be we have a new update, I think, that just came out. We have released notes on the latest update on the full self-driving beta. Once again, that's going to be very interesting. And they have enabled the beta on the highway, which unifies the vision and planning stack and the off highway and replaces the legacy highway stack, which is very, very interesting. So, very nice updates for their efficiency on the highways. I think that's going to be very essential for the future. And these improvements they're constantly making are good for the share price long term. I just want to note that, guys. Very amazing that this is coming out. For Tesla now, what on earth is going on? Well, the first thing you have to remember is the overall state of the market. And the market still looks more bullish, guys, at least for the short term. Now, I say this because the SPY is getting very close to this very, very key resistance level around this 410 zone. What else is interesting about it is it happens to actually align with when the Fed may start speaking around that like Wednesday/Thursday. And this is why I do believe once SPY rallies to this line, because so many people are watching it, so many institutions are watching it, people are going to be very cautious. And the psychological effect of this resistance level is going to cause some sellers to come in, and we may actually kind of chop around here. So be very careful up here. Now, SPY also has this gap to get filled. We have to break past 400 to actually fill this gap. Given the data, given how bullish it was, I do believe we are going to pump past 400 very soon on SPY and fill this gap to about 406 at the very least. So the market still looks like it has room to continue pumping. On gold, you will notice that gold is also pumping up. We're actually approaching a very pivotal supply zone all the way up here. So we could see gold actually pump up a little bit more. On the dollar index, let me just quickly go over these, guys. On the dollar index, we actually broke below on the daily the 200 EMA. I know somebody asked me about this. We're actually, I think we're a little bit below it, right? So this is not holding us up. And what I believe is going to happen is We do look like we have a lot of room to come all the way down to this 105 zone. It does look to me like the dollar is going to continue coming down. And I personally believe that this is going to help the markets at least to some degree. So there is still more bullish signs out there. Looking at other things out there like the DWAC or DWAC, AMC, a lot of these things really like to pump. They look like they have more room. On the VIX, there's something that's important to note, and that's the fact that we had this psychological support zone. I was actually talking about this just as a warning. However, we ended up actually kind of like not actually reacting to it. We actually fell below it, which is a sign that the VIX has more room to come down. I'm going to be watching the 21.68 level, followed by this gap fill zone around the 20s. I do believe the VIX is going to come down more, which is a good sign for the markets as well for the bulls, in my opinion. So once again, guys, many indications out there are suggesting the market has more room to continue pumping to the upside. On something like Apple, once again, Apple needs to break that 150, which I believe they most definitely can. But once we do it, we have some resistance coming up at like 152, which could slow us down just a little bit. But like I said before, things are looking good. The 10-year Treasury yield looks like it has more room to come down. It's continuing to just tumble down and down and down. It does look to me like this thing is going to actually go for the gap fill down here. Once again, more bullish for the markets. The last thing I'm going to talk about is QQQ before I get into Tesla. On the QQQ, this thing is actually very close to a key resistance level around that 290 zone. Get a clean break above that, and we have some more resistance around that 295. Could we get to 300? I mean, it's possible. It's going to be kind of tricky, but once again, guys, it does look like it has more room to continue pumping, which is good for the tech sector. I do believe tech has more momentum, which is going to help Tesla, at least for the most part, right? So for Tesla, what am I essentially seeing? Well, the first thing to remember is, will Elon Musk sell more? If he is going to be selling more and more of these shares, it could slow us down just a bit here and there once there's like more news or confirmation above it. But if the news comes out and says he's done selling, this thing is going to fly, in my opinion. Now, if we ignore the Elon Musk factor and just look at how the market has been affecting Tesla, it's been helping Tesla continue to respect an uptrend, breaking past previous resistance levels to a T. It's doing it very, very well. So in my opinion, it looks to me like Tesla's going to go for the gap fill all the way up here around this 197-ish level. I believe we're going to break past that pretty easily, and the key level to watch is going to be that 200 to 203 range. But first we have to break past 200, which I believe Tesla will if things go according to plan. Now, please remember there are external factors that will affect it, but I am still net bullish given the fact that the SPY and the QQQ could help this thing pump. And I do believe that Tesla is going to show some more strength going into Monday, and we should have another pretty decent green day. I want to see this thing break past 200. That's my zone, the 200 to 203 level. And if we keep pumping above that, just for instance, we have some resistance at 205, then 209 to 211, followed by 215. All of these could be retested if Tesla continues to pump, but first we got to break that $200 level of resistance. Now, if Tesla were to come down, which I don't really think it's going to come tumbling down, but just for reference, the first kind of like we have some demand around this 193 level. We saw some buyers actually coming in as the market was pumping. If Tesla comes down, watch for it to get a nice bounce around here. If it breaks below that, watch 190 followed by this 187 to 186 zone. We did see a lot of buyers coming in here too. So I don't expect it to go that low, but I'm just saying this to prepare you guys. Now, anyways, like I said, for Monday, I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla gets a nice push into open like this. So where's my polyline? Right here. So we push up into this very key zone. We may even start retesting 200 pretty quickly, guys. And we might actually have to fight for it for some time. If the market like sees so many buyers coming in, some shorts may start to cover. More people may close the puts on Tesla, leading to some more hedging. And this thing may even pump to about this 203 zone. Now, if we hold this zone, all right, we could retest like 205 or so, maybe come down a bit as we approach lunchtime like this, but I want to see this thing hold 200 throughout the day. I believe it really can, and maybe by the end of the day, we might get another big pump, hopefully to about that 205 or so zone, maybe a little bit higher. I'm really hoping we see it. Now, this is assuming that Musk does not sell like a huge ton of the shares, the news doesn't come out and things like that. So this is just one of my main predictions, what I'm anticipating, but I am prepared for anything just in case. So with that said, guys, remain calm, cool, and collected. I am anticipating a nice move for tomorrow, a nice green day. Thank you so much for listening. Enjoy your weekend, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Tesla to the moon because the long-term future is still incredibly bright, and peace out.